except where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
By now, a lot of us have heard about the couple where they were drinking some type of chemical that they heard on television was supposed to be effective against malaria and effective against the coronavirus. If I'm not mistaken, the chemical that they were using is actually used as a pool cleaner. If I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Arizona man dies. Yeah. No, it was a fish tank cleaner to prevent the coronavirus infection because he believed something that he had heard in the media. So he passed away and his wife was in critical condition. So, what does this have to do with the martial arts channel? It's actually quite simple and quite sad actually. Is that you cannot believe everything that you hear online, even about the martial arts. You cannot believe everything everybody tells you. It's ironic for me to say that, considering I have a martial arts channel on YouTube and I'm expecting you to believe me. But I will even say, even though I'm not going to say anything that I don't believe. Man, if you don't believe me, don't believe me. Question, double check everything I tell you. I'll tell you now. You don't believe what I'm saying? Check it. Double check it. Triple check it. Matter of fact, if it's safe enough for you to do, you could run experiments against any type of technique or any type of approach or suggestion that I give. Check it. You know, you've got to understand context. Everything requires context. Everything requires some sort of balance, and everything has to be used the right way. The late comedian Patrice O'Neill, he's passed away. He was a blue comic. You could say his stuff was vulgar, fine. But one thing he said that was true is that you can't always. Means that you can't just do the same thing all the time and expect it to always work all the time in every single situation. You have to understand the context of a thing. And nothing really irks me more than in the martial arts where we don't understand context, right? Just like a lot of people will swear up and down in the martial arts community, they say that George Dillman is a fraud and George doesn't know what he's doing and he was okay once and but he's not gonna and all that other stuff. They don't understand the context of what he's telling them. These tend to be the same type of people who don't understand or believe or appreciate why we do forms. You think they're just a dance. You don't understand the idea of practicing moving your body when you're not being stressed, will enable you to move it better when you are being stressed by another person. Not only that, if you just change your energy and your approach to when you're doing your forms, you can what and I thought I was so original when I discovered this. I'm saying using air quotes here because somebody else, people probably were already obviously onto this before I quote unquote discovered this, right? So this was back in the day when I was house running with a Tai Chi practitioner. I saw him doing Tai Chi, and I was like, well, Billy's doing Tai Chi, maybe, and this looks like martial arts move. I can Tai Chi my forms and I can do them that. Back then I only knew one form anyway, so I would just Tai Chi it. Like, ooh, and I can feel I'm working on the energy and stuff like that. Yeah. And then, eventually years later somebody told me, yeah, use your forms to build energy. Do it. Instead of just doing them hard, do them soft and do them where you're focusing on your dantian and your breathing and you're focusing on gathering energy and your external forms become a manifestation of can be used to do internal work so that you can build your chi. Now, that will be something that would really be helpful during the coronavirus outbreak for you to build up your internal energy as much as possible. That's going to make you feel better. That's going to make you have more energy, and that should help your immune system. Now, let's be clear here. I didn't say that because you're doing forms, that means you don't need to wash your hands, that you don't need to not go outside and lick the counter at the grocery store. Did I say that? And that you have to abandon social distancing? And that, if you've been sitting in some places where people may be infected, you don't need to take those clothes off and wash them. Did I say that we need to ignore the CDC because we're doing some type of internal energy work? Did I say that? No, I didn't say that. And if you want proof of that, look at the video that's going around right now where the doctors in China are doing Tai Chi with people who are quarantined. Okay? Now let's play the racist Asian people know martial arts better game for a second. Please forgive me, people who have more Asian DNA than I do. Okay, just recently found out ancestry DNA. I do have Asian DNA. Didn't know that. But anyway, very, very, very small amount, like 2%. So this is China, right? We're talking about China. We're talking about the country where Tai Chi comes from, right? So we say, even though it came from India, Bodhidharma, who could be one of my ancestors. But anyway, what are they doing? What are the trained medical people doing when they're practicing Tai Chi with people who are under quarantine? They are wearing full protective gear, right? They're wearing full protective gear. And if I remember, I'm going to stick in video of them here doing it. But they're wearing full protective gear, right? So if they're wearing full protective gear while they're practicing Tai Chi, which they feel is also medicinal and good for your health and your circulation system and all like that, don't think that because you're doing some internal work, that's your excuse for you to go ahead and throw away every other precaution that exists in the world. And then you're going to point to this channel and go, well, he said, I don't need to do that because I'm doing karate slow. Okay? No. Nope. You don't get to blame me for your carelessness. So So we have to be careful with what we hear online, what we hear from other people, because they may or may not know what they're talking about. And that's such things, especially in martial arts context, as grappling always beats striking. You don't really need to know how to kick because kicking in Taekwondo never work. I'll just shoot you if you come at me. I will always be able to pull out my gun and shoot someone. You will never, ever, ever stand a chance against fighting against more than one person ever. Taekwondo is all I ever need, and I don't need to learn any type of restraint techniques at all because the whole world's violence problems can be solved by punching and kicking. To borrow the joke from Family Guy, that Brian said when they were making fun of Roadhouse, all life's problems can be solved by high kicks. All I need is reality-based training. All I need is combat sport. All I need is traditional training. Now, I could go with the one thing, that could just be my bias. I could almost go with the all I need is traditional training thing. If you realize I'm a civilian, I'm never going to be a pro fighter, and I just want to be able to defend myself if one person goes crazy, fine. Fine. Oh, this is one thing, and you can't look at me by telling this and tell this, but the whole thing of I don't need to be physically fit at all because my technique is just so marvelous that I won't even ever have to break a sweat ever. Now, this is the thing on that one. That can actually happen, and I've seen people who can whoop a single opponent, and they literally can barely move, and they can still whoop you. Okay, I wouldn't mess with them. I wouldn't grab some of these people I've seen that I've had the pleasure and the honor, believe it or not, I say the honor of having to work with or attend seminars with. They may have a physical challenge, but they can defend themselves. Okay, but the thing is, a lot of us are more in danger from a heart attack than a knife attack, and we know it. So if we really want to talk about protecting ourselves in self-defense, and somebody else said this, and if I remember, I will put the link below. This was on the Managing Violence podcast. I'm thinking this man may have been listening to me because he said it, and I put a link on my Facebook page for Cecil Ryu. I put a link to it, but basically, you can be attacked, and the stress of the attack can kill you because you're in such bad health. Not necessarily what the person did, but you fend the person off, you get them down, and it was just too much commotion and excitement for your heart to handle. So, oh yeah, this is the guy that runs Fit to Fight. But then at the same time, the other thing that you can pick up from being online is the I can never be beat up by anybody who's less physically fit than me. Because I can tell you now, when I was starting on the upswing of my prime, I got beat plenty of times by my instructor when I was in high school. The guy, and I don't mean to pick on you, Hawk. I love you, man. Hawk had bad knees, and he was smaller than me. And so, you would definitely say I was better physically fit than him, even though I was fat. But I was young, and he definitely showed that. Yeah, that's nice that you fit and all. And I started losing weight then and everything that you can run and all that stuff. You can still get whooped by somebody who he had two kicks and like three punches, and that's all he did. And he just knew him, and he just put it on you. And who was that? Was that Jimmy Takamori? Oh yeah, I got used in a demonstration years later. I was, fit, right? Close to fit, overweight, but still fit. Competitor, right, for judo. And this little tiny man just grabs me. He says, "Oh, I can only move my arms in two directions now." And he's just flinging me around a demonstration like I'm a rag doll. So don't believe that either. That's all stuff that you can pick up from online. Okay. So I guess the moral of this is, truth is truth. Let's think about context for when we apply anything. There's a time and place, like the Bible says, for everything that's under the sun. So let's not use things in the wrong time and place. And if you really want to try some of these home remedies, you got to make sure you got your dosages right. So I remember a long time ago, I can't remember who told me this. He said, it was the biology of drug plants professor, and I cannot remember his name. He was saying that some stuff that's poison in the right dose could actually be medicinal. So everything's got to be, in proper balance. And that's just a attitude that I really feel like is really enforced and reinforced in a good martial arts program or from a good martial arts teacher. Everything in its proper place, in its proper time, everything in balance. So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Please share this with people like talk about the martial arts. Don't just believe everything you hear online. And please, let's be safe and cautious and careful during this corona outbreak. And let's all get through this together, y'all. In peace. And thank you for your time.